Today I will be making a cauliflower pizza crust. So I already started with my chicken thighs, just adding some seasonings and a little bit of organic olive oil, and then I'm just going to throw those on the grill. The seasonings that I put on them were a salt-free garlic herb seasoning and a organic lemon peel seasoning. You can use oregano or any other Italian-based seasonings. So I'm going to get those on the grill and then I will show you the rest. So my mom is actually helping me out and she put the chicken on the grill, and so I'm going to start with grating up some of my organic sharp white cheddar cheese. You're going to use 1/3 of a cup of a cheddar cheese, or a mozzarella cheese would be really good as well. And then 1/3 of a cup of Parmesan cheese. And I have already grated Pecorino Romano, which is very similar to a Parmesan cheese. I actually like it a little bit better. And this is imported from Italy. So it's a really good, you want to always like grass-fed or organic based cheeses. I always look for like imported cheeses from Europe because they have a really good quality cheese. So once you grate that up, I am going to use a whole head of cauliflower. So you use a whole head of cauliflower. So I'm just going to break off a bunch of the limbs, these little things, and stick it into my food processor. And you're gonna have to do it a little bit at a time to get it all really processed up. You want it to be in little rice-sized pieces. So you might have to do a little bit at a time and put it into your bowl, your mixing bowl, to get the whole head. So I'll do just a couple pieces like that and then just process it up. The trick is not to over process it to where it basically falls apart, just to kind of keep it in a rice texture like that. So I just go a little bit at a time and then put it into my mixing bowl. I'm just gonna dump all of that in. We'll just continue like this until we do the whole head of cauliflower. Once you have all of your cauliflower processed up, you're just going to add in your 1/3 cup of cheese. And then you're also going to need 1 egg. So I have chickens here, so I'm going to grab one of my fresh brown eggs that we have over here. Here's my 1 egg. So I'm going to get my 1/3 cup of pecorino and add that into the mixture. And then I'm also going to get my 1/3 cup of grated white sharp cheddar cheese and add that in there. And then I'm going to save a little bit to put on top of it once it's done. Use that, and then I'll use my 1 egg. And then we just add our seasonings. So I'm gonna do a little bit of dill seasoning. It's an organic dill seed. A little bit of organic garlic. And then a little bit more of this garlic herb seasoning. All of these seasonings I got at our local store, Kroger, and they're all by Simple Truth. They have really good products and a lot of organic, like the cheeses, the seasonings. They basically have everything you could really need organic-wise. I'm also going to do a little bit of pink Himalayan sea salt. This together, and then I'm going to start cutting up some of my vegetables. I also have my oven preheated on 450. And so let's get this mixed up. So it's going to mix really well, just all the egg and the cheese, and it's going to start sticking together. So as you start mixing it up, the egg and the cheese is really going to help it all stick together and really form that crust. I already have my baking sheet with a piece of parchment paper. That's what I cook with, lined. If you feel like it's not sticking well enough, you can always just add an extra egg or anything like that to thicken it up. I'm gonna add a little bit more of this cheddar cheese that I had grated. Add one more egg because I think I did a lot of cauliflower. So I've made this recipe a lot, and you can really put in whatever you want, and you can not only use it for a pizza crust, but also I've put it into squares and made it into like sandwiches, and then used it as like bread for a sandwich. So you can use this for a lot of different things, which I love about it, and it's very keto. Get it all mixed up, then you'll just put it onto your parchment paper on your pan. And you want it to be really thin because if it's too thick, it'll definitely fall apart on you. So just make sure to thin it out really well. Once you have it really thin out on the sheet like this, you'll just place it in the oven for about 15 minutes. You don't want to cook it all the way through because you are going to add your toppings, but just enough to where it's almost completely done. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven. And then while that's cooking, you can go ahead and start chopping up the vegetables that you want to put on top. So I'm going to be doing some green bell pepper. I'm going to also do some Brussels sprouts, and so you want to make these really, really thin so that they can cook. I might even throw them in the pan for a couple minutes before I put them on the pizza. Also have some mushrooms. I'm just going to slice those up, and then I'm also going to grate up more cheese so that I can add it on top once it's almost done, and then it can just melt on top. So this is what the cauliflower will look like when you pull it out. So like I said, it's not completely done yet, but almost. So I have some Brussels sprouts that I cooked a little bit already. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add these onto the pizza. And then I also have some of the grilled chicken that we grilled up. So I will slice up some of that and add it onto the pizza as well. I'm gonna start with my grated cheese, the sharp cheddar, and just sprinkle that on. And if you don't do dairy or cheese or anything like that, you could always do like a homemade tomato sauce, or you could find some tomato sauces where it's low sugar or no sugar at all. Or you could just chop up tomatoes and put them on there and just do it that way. Or you can even make your own fresh basil and pesto sauce. Add on some of my bell peppers, and then some mushrooms. Add on some of these Brussels sprouts, a couple of my grilled chicken, and bring it over here, and I'm just gonna slice it up into thin slices and then just add it back on top of the pizza. You have all your toppings on. You just put it back in the oven until it gets completely cooked, probably like 5-10 minutes. You want all that cheese to melt, and then all of your toppings just to get a little bit brown and crispy. Then once it's finished, I will add just a dash of olive oil and a little bit of my lemon here, and it'll be done. So this is what it will look like once it's done. So everything crisped up really well. It's not going to be like a normal pizza. It will crumble just a little bit more than like if you were to use a flour. I'm just going to add a little bit of lemon. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoy it and let me know what you think.